Good afternoon. My name is Bill Fukui. I'm with Page One Solutions, and I'm here at the FFAS meeting to share some insights on video marketing for practices to really grow their practice and how they can leverage video both in terms of their websites and in other strategies. Because as we all know, the internet has become so much more driven by audio, video, and also smartphones. So taking advantage of video marketing is becoming an increasingly important part of your online marketing strategy. Um, so let's go ahead and get started. And to take care of a little housekeeping, first of all, my name is Bill, and I work for Page One Solutions, and we are an internet marketing company that actually generates revenue from marketing plastic surgery practices just like yours. So with that aside, let's go ahead and get started. Um, so why invest in marketing? I notice a lot of practices, when I asked this question the last course, a lot of people didn't have video on their website. I would say maybe a third to, I don't think quite half of the practices had video on their website. And I was kind of surprised. I thought more of them would have it. So to try and address that is why should a practice invest in video marketing, particularly on their website? And the first one, I think we've heard it on a number of occasions, is that SEO is impacted, the results are impacted by video content. And this is particularly true with, the surging amount of mobile activity and mobile consumption of videos. But there's a number of reasons why video can actually benefit your website. Number one, from an SEO standpoint, is it increases the value of the content of a given page. And typically, you will see websites have higher click-through rates with pages that have video. And then you're also seeing those same pages have lower bounce rates. All of those kinds of things impact Google's perceived value of your content in those pages. So having video on them certainly enhances Google's view of it. The other thing is that time on a given page is also another algorithm that Google measures, and web pages that don't get bounces but also keep visitors. And the longer you can keep a visitor on a given page, that's usually an indication that the content is more substantive and that visitors are actually consuming it. Typically, pages that have video also have higher time on page statistics. So, um, in fact, I think Forrester uh, presented data that supported this whole concept is that web pages and websites that have video are 50 times more likely to get rankings than websites that don't have video. So definitely from an SEO perspective, it makes sense for you to consider incorporating videos. The other thing with videos, as I kind of mentioned, is that consumers have really now access the internet more frequently through their mobile device than they do their desktop. And this is actually a fairly recent statistic, but mobile has actually overtaken desktops in terms of usage of internet, and consumers love video. Kind of keep in mind that video is more of a passive information as opposed to say reading content, which is really requires more active participation and active learning. And quite frankly, people, let's face it, people are pretty lazy when it comes to internet. They're wanting things to be more convenience, more to require less time, to require less work. So having video is definitely a more passive way of getting them to start consuming your content. Another thing too to kind of keep in mind is that video is more about feeling. It's not logic. It's not statistics that really make video effective. It's the emotions and generating connection. And I think that's probably the greatest opportunity, because keep in mind that consumers purchase cosmetic and elective medical services emotionally. As much as they try and justify it with logic, we all know that it's an emotional decision. And when it comes to emotion and developing more of a relationship and feeling about your practice, this has become increasingly important. Is that your practice needs to start leveraging video so that visitors feel like they know you, know your surgeon, know your practice, know your facility on a much deeper level. And again, take advantage of the emotion value that video can bring to your website to help advance that consumer as they move through the decision and selection process. So what kind of videos does it make sense for your practice to develop? There's a lot of different types of videos that you can shoot as far as lengths and the angles and the different types of content that you want to put in there. The first kind you want to start looking at is maybe video that you'll want on your homepage or on your About the Surgeon page. And those are more what I would call branding pages. Today, the internet is becoming a much more branding type of media, and even brand advertisers like Nike and Under Armour and Toyota and all of these brand marketers, Coke, they're all spending much more money uh, away from traditional media and putting that into the internet. The internet is definitely becoming a branding media, and practices need to start taking advantage of that. And typically, that can be done through video. Um, there's also informational videos about kind of what to expect in terms of treatments and uh, information that you can be putting on your procedure and treatment pages to help people digest that content in a much more understandable and comprehend that information on a much deeper level. Uh, it's usually more educated patients typically are more compliant, and your website can help you nurture those types of prospects so that when they do come into the office, they're much more compliant with your processes and understanding what to expect. There's also this new type of video that we're recommending clients produce, which are more frequently asked question types of videos that I would say are more consumer query generated. Consumers actually search in different ways today than they did, say, 5 or certainly 10 years ago. And the searches that they're doing are very question generated. So a lot of the frequently asked question videos we'd like to produce, and I'll go into this in a little more detail later on, but you'll want to also produce quick informational videos that answer questions that you answer all the time. Chances are, if people that are coming in for consultations are asking you these questions, there's a good likelihood there's value in other people, searching for that same information online. So tips to leveraging, video marketing. Okay, so here are some basic to-dos that you'll want to do in terms of developing and marketing those videos. So first of all, don't develop them in a vacuum. You definitely need to be leveraging competitive research in order for you to develop campaigns that are going to be more effective and videos that will have more value to consumers. And you also need to think about um, when you're talking about uh, the information you're going to put on there, identify differentiators. Look at what other competitors have on their videos, and you definitely don't want to be putting the same kind of content or information out there. Identify what makes your practice different. Identify how you can put your messages in a different manner or form to really differentiate you from what they're seeing in videos from competitors. Competitors also will identify the quality standards that you need to be shooting your videos in. If you have competitors that are shooting really high quality videos, if you're in Beverly Hills or Las Vegas, those types of markets, then you definitely need to up the grade of the quality of your videos. You really don't want subpar videos in a market that demands the a more branded, high quality image and messaging. You'll also want to look at the depth of information and the types of information that consumers are getting from your competitors' videos, and making sure that we're offering things on a much more deeper level when we get those patients who are really interested in more of the details and information. We need to make sure that we have it for them and do it in a way that's even more effective than what our competitors are doing. And then there's the types of videos. And I don't usually recommend when you do, videos, but you'll notice when you check competitors, some of them will have like their TV commercials or promotional videos. I'm not a big proponent on, littering your website with those types of videos, but branding and patient reviews and patient testimonials, those types of things are always very effective in terms of building credibility and rapport and trust with online consumers. But look at the kind of videos that are on there. That'll give you an idea of the kind of videos that you need to be producing in your market as well. You need to also look at competitors from a delivery standpoint. How are they distributing those videos? How are they promoting them both within the site, in their social media? You may even find that they do this in their email follow-ups and stuff like that if you're doing any secret shopping and mystery shopping of competitors. So see how they're leveraging videos in that sales process and in their overall marketing strategy. Tip number 2 is to produce and promote videos with key pages, and not just shoot videos and go, oh, okay, I've seen this a lot of times where they'll shoot a lot of videos and then they'll give them to their webmaster and say, okay, I need for you to put these on the website and just find good places for them. We're finding that that's not necessarily a good use of video production, and quite honestly, it's not nearly as effective. It really does make sense before you start shooting anything and before you start identifying what video topics and the formats to shoot is what pages and what destinations are we going to be leveraging video on, and making sure that we're producing videos and messages that are the most appropriate for those pages. So for example, if we're shooting something and would say we're wanting to do something on the breast augmentation page, we need to think through what kind of information do we want to put on there, and also how do we want to deliver it. One of the things we also want to keep in mind is the assets that we have within a practice when we're developing video. And in some cases, we've got some really powerful and highly talented, patients that are willing to help us. And in those particular cases, make sure that we're not overlooking them and just putting shots of the doctor on there, uh, just as a means of just trying to have video on a page. In this particular case, this is a person in a Las Vegas practice who's actually an entertainer who's also willing to share her story. And quite honestly, she is very well spoken, very attractive, the perfect demographics. And man, she promotes the practice in ways that I don't think anybody else in the practice can create the same amount of credibility and trust. So kind of keep in mind who we're going to be able to use on those pages as well, and the kind of information that we're going to want them to say. She's great. Tip number 3, cross promote. We definitely need to, when we create videos, is that we don't want to just create them, put them on YouTube and put them on the page and then hope, that it works. There's got to be strategies to get people to watch these videos and that is in the cross promotion through, you can do it through social media, certainly through Facebook, which most of our practices are building up that audience, and you're getting more and more activity with your Facebook posts. Definitely promote the fact that there's information out there and drive people to those pages as well as to those videos. Also, other social media like Instagram and LinkedIn for those professional referrals, especially videos that are going to be more educative and informative. Those are also videos that they can also share with their patients and ultimately lead to more referrals for your practice. Um, and then again, YouTube, definitely a resource that you've got to start promoting. And when you do produce your videos, you definitely need to transcribe them on YouTube. And that's really easy to do. But you'll want to help Google index those videos with the content and the topics. You'll also want to maybe consider segmenting in your videos into playlists for maybe particular procedures and treatments so that when um, people have inquiries about breast augmentation or facelifts, that you can send them a link to a playlist of specifically just facelift related videos or breast augmentation related videos. And you're going to find that they're going to watch more of them. They don't have to search through them all in order to find them, etc. So kind of think of how you're going to leverage those as well. And then don't just think of YouTube. There's other video platforms like MetaCafe, Vimeo, and others that you'll want to start pushing out your video and distributing your videos through different platforms. You'll also want to, leverage them in newsletters. If you've got video content that's really good and useful, let people know that it's out there. Especially existing patients. Existing patients, not only that may not have had those procedures or treatments, but just driving, those people back to those pages will also enhance your SEO because Google will see that your people are coming to that, they're watching them, staying on those pages. It's really helpful because you're on, your existing relationships and people that know you. Typically, branded traffic is usually more loyal and they actually consume the information on a deeper level than people that are just surfing and just shopping for maybe price or something like that. They usually stay longer. So that's going to be helpful. And again, as I mentioned, make sure that when you've got prospects and leads, that you're following up with these types of resources and arming your staff with sales tools to help convert these leads. Um, and then also something else you'll want to consider in terms of more outreach is utilizing some paid outlets to promote and push video out there. And one of those is going to be, Google AdWords for videos. At this particular time, video AdWords is really a very cost-effective and cost-efficient means of promoting videos and driving people to them. And that also has very highly targeted capabilities to making sure that you're getting local, high quality visitors to view them. So definitely something you want to look into are paid platforms, particularly the Google AdWords for videos. Tip number 4 is consider video blogging. I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to re-emphasize is that consumers today no longer search in the ways that they did before, particularly with conversational search and with search assistants like Siri or Google. They actually no longer have to go to a website in order to ask plastic surgery practices plastic surgery related questions. They're going straight to searches in order to do that. So you're going to find that a lot of the search phrases you were targeting with your static list of keyword phrases, many of them, the volume of searches for them have either declined and many of them don't get any searches at all. So you'll want to make sure that you're identifying consumer driven queries that actually take place each month and making sure that your video blogs address those particular questions. So, for example, these are common types of questions, whether it's what is the difference between an upper and lower eyelid surgery, or if we're talking about different breast augmentation, like what's the recovery time for breast augmentation, or can we do a facelift in conjunction with a neck lift at the same time? Those are going to be questions that consumers are asking, and those are the kinds of videos that can help your website start to show up on search engines. And you'll want to kind of think through this is that you'll want to do it in volume. You'll want to probably shoot in the neighborhood of about 20 to 25 videos. The good news is that FAQ videos, if you're producing them like this, they're easy to answer. They're not scripted, they're conversational. Your practice, your surgeon answers these questions all the time. So make sure that you're asking those kinds of common questions because your surgeon can answer those really genuinely and come across, really passionately with their answers, and people trust those types of videos. And then you'll want to start producing a video calendar. You don't just want to push these all at once. You may want to set up a calendar where you're pushing out maybe a couple of video blogs a month, but targeting very specific treatments and procedures. And lastly, you want to continue to promote. And again, promote these video blogs, and you're going to drive people to them. Google's going to start seeing them, and it will start showing up. Many times for these long tail search phrases, you're starting to find that some videos actually show up for these types of consumer queries, and they're not always like the traditional, Denver, plastic surgeon searches. These are more informational types of searches, and Google knows when you're local what local resources that might be most appropriate and may show, videos in those results. So those are some major things in terms of how to develop the sites and how to promote them. But I'm going to leave you with the last suggestion is as you're developing videos, don't think of it in terms of purely as marketing and advertising. Kind of think through what is going to be helpful for your audience. I think practices that take an approach of developing content and videos that's going to be more useful and more, helpful for your target audience, you're going to find that it becomes more shareable. They're more willing to share it. They're willing to watch them, and quite honestly, they'll come back to visit them occasionally, time and time again as they move closer to making decisions. And ultimately, the more they watch them, ultimately you're the expert. So kind of keep those things in mind. If you have any questions, here's my name and phone number. You also have my email address. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions regarding your video marketing, or other types of online marketing. We'd be happy to address them. I look forward to hearing from you and also seeing you at the next FFAS meeting. Until then, have a good day.